The first time I had a panic attack is like in 2017 when I was in my dorm. I was doing my work and suddenly I found my heart is pumping so quick and I cannot breathe very well.
In 2017, 13% of US teens ages 12 to 17 said they had experienced at least one major depressive episode in the past year.
There was no one that I ever really felt comfortable around as a result of this anxiety.
When I was sitting in my room, I just hold myself and feel very afraid and cannot do other things.
I was always like the scared kid and have low self-esteem.
As if I wanted to just give up, on even trying to, see a life without these symptoms.
Yeah, I called my mom and just says, I'm sorry, I cannot live up to your expectations.
But the more pressing issue is that these teenagers are not getting the help they need. Asian Americans are 6 times less likely than Caucasians to mention their mental health concerns to a mental health professional.
I just don't want to accept it because I know it will influence a lot in my life.
It's hard to look at people who are struggling in the eye and to feel their pain with them. If you want to experience life to the fullest and to feel all these powerful emotions, you have to open yourself up to acknowledging, the pain that's around you.
My name is Tencent. I am a student at Iowa State University studying computer science for a master's degree. Yeah, I'm almost done with the program. Yeah, looking back, my life was pretty simple. It was good in that, I had everything. I had a house, I had family and food and medicine, everything I needed. But it was also very focused on just school and grades. And I remember in middle school, I just thought a lot about grades because, in middle school, when I didn't get good grades, I would get punished. And then in high school, I just focused a lot on grades because for college. So in a way, it's pretty simple. All I did was focus on school, and that's something I kind of regret. And the family relationships was just not healthy. I came from a broken family, and my parents fought a lot. And so I just grew up very scared. I was also scared of my dad because he, would yell at my brother and me when we didn't get good grades. And he would sometimes spank us and insult us, and it was very hurtful. And I just remember feeling scared for a lot of my childhood.
Like Tencent, Maggie struggled a lot during her childhood. As a toddler, she had separation anxiety and experienced dizziness and rashes, physical symptoms of mental illnesses. By elementary school, she already had intrusive thoughts, which are unwanted thoughts that cause distress for the individual.
I would just characterize middle school as being a very anxious, nerve-wracking period of time for me. I was extremely paranoid about my schoolwork, and it wasn't so much about doing well in school. It was more about just making sure that everything was perfect around me, which is just a very common thing in OCD, which is that I wasn't really, obviously I did care about my grades, but for me the obsessions would show up in, I would check my backpack to see if I put my homework away multiple times a night, maybe 4 to 5 times before I went to bed, repeatedly in the same hour, just constantly checking things like that, just very, very typical obsessive symptoms.
Both Maggie and Tencent began their battle during early childhood, while for others like Celeste, she didn't have any problems with mental health until high school. Born and raised in China, Celeste studied non-stop growing up, just like most Chinese teenagers. The external pressure to study eventually coincided with her unstable household that led to a deteriorating mental stability.
My mother is very busy. She has her own business. So, and my father is not like to express her love or appreciation to others. And they sometimes argue with each other, and they sometimes find themselves is not like have agreement with each other. And also my father and mother is not make me feel they are not very close.
Definition clinically, depression is a common mood disorder. You will experience depressed mood, and it also cause impairment in your daily life. That's how I diagnose depression clinically. One of the significant cause of major depressive disorder is suicide. That's why we will pay attention to the depression. The Silicon Valley. The schoolwork, the academic stress is the number one because people here are very competitive. I have clients from move from different other states or different areas. They will say, okay, I don't like, I want to move back. I don't like Silicon Valley. It's too competitive.
In addition to the stressful competition of the Bay Area, toxic family relations create an unhealthy environment for these Asian Americans. Mental illnesses then commonly fester in such settings.
As depressive symptoms started to appear, I just feel like there was a hole inside of me, and I just felt really empty and sad, although I couldn't really identify the reasons why. And you know, even doing hobbies like tennis, I would feel sad during it.
I lay in my bed and watch my phone. And I know I have some other tasks to do, but I just feel like I was so tired to start up all these things. And I feel I'm never ready to start up other things. I don't want to talk to others. And I don't want to connect with the outside world. I just sit in my own room and don't want to talk to my parents and not even my friends or strangers. So I just want to stay with myself.
I think especially for when you notice yourself or you notice your people around you, in these kind of situations, you have a basic idea who I am or who they are, and you can compare the current situation to the previous ones. Hey, I noticed that you changed a lot and your sleep is not good, so good. Your appetite is not so good. You kind of think pretty negative recently. That's also the signals. Maybe we can have a look at what happened. Maybe we need to check with doctors or check with our counselors.
It is especially important to recognize and identify these symptoms early. But for those who don't realize it, their unhealthy family and school situation will continue to fester and further worsen their health.
The main thing is that there was a lot of, I wouldn't say conflict, but there was a lot of arguing in the house. Like not between my parents, but my grandparents, they argued with each other a lot. It was pretty bad like when I was in elementary school, but it got worse in middle school and high school, probably because I was more aware of it.
I remember the first year of grad school was extremely hard for me, and it was just really stressful because not only was I dealing with classwork, I was dealing with my parents always fighting, and when they fight, I just get so emotional and hurt. And you know, like I remember growing up, you know, they would always fight, and then I would reach my breaking point, and I would just start screaming in my bedroom downstairs. So you know that kept happening in grad school, and then you know the fights just kept escalating.
My sophomore year of high school, you know, I go to my mom and I say, you know, this is probably like the third or fourth time I've tried to talk to her about my symptoms. I say, you know, this is really hard, and like I generally don't know if I can go on living like this. And I think that was a wake-up call for my mom that this wasn't like a phase that I was going to grow out to, because she had heard this a number of times already, and that's when she recommended reaching out to the school counselor, Miss Burgess.
So at that time, my parents know there must be something wrong with me. So I talked to them. I feel that I have depression and anxiety. And they not, at first they don't believe it. At first they don't believe like mental illness. And they think I may not be in that serious situation. But after that, I say I would like to try to see the doctor and seek for some professional help. I agree with it.
Although they had taken the first step of fully recognizing their situation by seeking professional help, it wasn't going to be an easy journey to recovery.
Near end of middle school and then beginning of high school, when I started seeing therapy, there were a lot of times where I had to, talk to my mom and convince her that I was going through something very painful and that I wanted to seek help for it. There was a lot of back and forth between us, even after I started seeing therapy. Like it was still, I still often felt like I had to prove that I was suffering to her for her to take it seriously and for us to continue seeking professional help.
I accept it already because before I went to see the doctor, I know there are 80% I may have anxiety disorder or depressions. So I don't feel very shocked, but also feel kind of afraid because it is a long journey to heal it, and I don't know if I can heal it or not.
First, let me give you a general idea about the treatment of depression. Based on the progress of the medical today, the depression has two mainstream treatment. One is medication, antidepressant, depressants, the medications, and the other is the talk therapy. We say the psychotherapy. And in the therapy, we will use the CBT, the cognitive behavioral therapy, or IPT, interpersonal psychotherapy. Both has evidence to support they are effective.
Even though 80% of mental health treatments are effective, many families are wary of professional help due to the deep stigma rooted in Asian societies.
In China, it is a society that very focused on hard working and focus on personal ability. And all the education is like told you to study harder and told you to learn more. All the people are very likely to just push themselves harder and harder and not in a right way. They just told themselves they need to work hard. They are not good enough. And if you have depression or anxiety, they will just think you're not behave good, like you are not hardworking, you are not good at studying.
Definitely, that was just all stigma around mental health, like guiding, like both cultural beliefs and stigma, like this idea that you don't need medication, you can just work hard and get over your problems. Yeah, that was definitely terrible to deal with.
When you will say you are diagnosed with mental health issue, you need to go see the doctors for the mental issue. It will bring you to some imagination like, oh, this guy is crazy. In Asian country, maybe if they are not familiar with this kind of issue, they will think, oh, crazy, I need to go to see the shrink, I need to go to see the psychiatry doctor. Is like, it's very serious thing.
The stigma is rooted in cultural beliefs and unfamiliarity with mental health. While the West has been working hard to raise awareness in recent decades, the East has been lagging behind in such efforts, creating a veil of fear. For the Asian American youth growing up in the era of social media, The internet shapes a different stigma around mental health.
The other thing is that a lot of people have been, I think, self-diagnosing themselves. You know, when you see those memes on Facebook where people are talking about depression, not everyone in the comments actually has a legitimate mental health disorder. If you have like moments where you're anxious, moments where you're down, or moments where you're feeling obsessive, those are serious things. And if it becomes recurring, you know, you should definitely seek professional help. And I think that if we took the label of the disorder seriously, we wouldn't see as many people accusing others of making things up or trying to get attention when it comes to mental health.
Cultural beliefs, generational conflicts, and social media come together to form the dark stigma around mental health. But this negativity and fear can be combated by confronting it head-on and showing compassion and support for family and friends. Simply talking about mental health will help change the way society views these illnesses.
Don't use it as your excuse to get away from your life. Seek for professional help and face their issue positively.
One of the other layers is the culture. We must admit the Eastern culture and the Western culture is totally different. It's totally different. Sometimes it will cause some misunderstanding and ignorance. It contributes to the barrier of the smooth communication because both parties think we are right, I am right? There is no right or wrong things. Sometimes it's just personal experience or personal view. So we need to, at the same time, we need to learn to set the healthy boundaries. Non-judgment. We just accept who we are and we live with the difference.
You know, my therapist, my counselor, she said, you know, like, I really think that you might benefit from using medication. You know, so I brought it up to my mom, and she was not happy about it. I think a lot of like Chinese Americans in particular are very wary about using medicine, like Western medicine, and then like mental, when it comes to like psychiatric medicine, they're just like, hell no, like no. So she was very not on board with that. And we argued about it a lot. I'm glad that I fought for myself. And again, I think that goes back to just me believing that there was something not right in my brain, that I deserved to feel better. So I argued with my mom like a lot about that until she finally gave in.
Once we communicate with our family members and confront the issue, mental health and relationships improve with greater understanding and compassion.
In my college life, my parents have changed a lot. When I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression, they started to understand me, because before they have a lot of requirement for me, like I need to do well in school. After I have diagnosed, I try to talk to them, and they have less requirement for me because they know I cannot behave well, and sometimes I will feel very not likely to do things. They try to change too. They try to like give me more encouragement and give me more understanding and share their happiness with me. And they also, when I need them, when I need to talk to them, they will answer my phone call immediately. I think they try hard to do the issue with me together and also stay together with me.
First night of my emergency room, my dad called my aunt, and she immediately flew over the next day because just to talk to the doctors about what medications I should take and to help me with my mental health. So I stayed in the hospital for 10 days, and my aunt was always there just to be with me, to talk to me, encourage me. And after coming out of the hospital, I continued my counseling with my aunt. Even though she flew back here, we would do counseling, and then she was the first one in my life, I think, who told me that I was enough that she's proud of me, that I'm smart, I don't need to compete against others. And yeah, she was the first one. And then the more she said it to me, the more I believed it, because she's someone that I trust. And so that's when I started to improve a lot.
Usually it's the parents who contact us and ask for help for the children. In my stereotype, I would say the Asian family, they are reluctant to reach out for support. But the true experience tell me now they are more open, at least in the Bay Area, they are more open than the stereotyped Asian parents. In my personal experience, I would say the culture, yes, they do feel it's not something they are proud of. It's not something they are comfortable to do. But there's something stronger, like their bonds with their children, their eager passion to support their children. They concern about their children's conditions, promote them, motivate them to reach out for support.
Mental illnesses are always an ongoing battle. For Tenzin, Maggie, and Celeste, their journey doesn't end here. While some of them have experienced relapses, they still developed a stronger support system over the years, so they are better equipped to handle future depressive episodes. And after coming a long way, they encourage families and communities to confront these issues by actively seeking solutions, not avoiding.
The first thing I do well is I didn't give up in my way to cure it. I seek for the help from counseling and psychiatry. I talked to the counselor with my situation, and I face my problem. I don't deny that, saying that I don't have depression, I don't have problem with my mind, but I accept it and I face it bravely.
Even you don't believe it, just give yourself a chance. Let's try it. If you find the medication can help you, the family doctor can also prescribe you the antidepressants too. It's very normal. It's easier to be treated. You don't need to see a specialist if you want to treat your depression.
We can prevent unhealthy family environments from festering early on by building strong relationships. The parent-to-child relationship is a significant influence for many teenagers.
Parents can help the child identify areas to improve and work with the child to improve. And also when they teach their children, lots of parents teach their children math or something. Like my dad always just put me down because I was a slow learner. So he made fun of me and that was very hurtful. So that's negative criticism. And that really hurts the child's confidence in themselves. And it just increases their fear of school and of the parents. And that's not healthy. So parents need to know that, maybe they did well in high school, but their kids are different. So you need to treat them gently and help them grow instead of forcing them to grow.
I think for a lot of Asian American teenagers who find that they may be dealing with mental health issues, obviously the first person they go to is probably their parents, right? And usually what happens is the parents just don't believe them. If you're fine, if you have a roof over your head and you have food, you're physically healthy, there's nothing wrong with you mentally. And yeah, I think that leads to a lot of Asian American kids doing what I did, which is either just becoming really isolated or blaming ourselves. Enacting change outside of ourselves begins with taking really good care of ourselves. So I think starting with being a compassionate person, a compassionate friend to yourself, so honoring your sadness when it arises, reaching out for support from your friends when you need it, taking care of your body and your mind. So just really dedicating yourself to being a good host to yourself. I think that's where it starts. But the truth is that while each of us are unique individuals, the pain that we're going through is not very special because we're just humans. Our brains are similar to one another, even if there's little differences. So, you know, there's a reason why mental illness exists and why we have the names for these disorders. It's because there's enough people going through that there is now a scientific name for it. So I think understanding that, yeah, you know, you're unique as a person, but your experiences aren't special. And what that means is that, you know, no matter how much pain you're going through, you know, you can still overcome it because there's so many people around the world who are overcoming it. And we're all working on figuring ourselves out and figuring out the best way forward for ourselves.
Yeah, there definitely isn't as much Asian people there, but all the Asians know all the Asians, and you know, we still, the parents still form a group and then ask like, oh, how did your child do? How did your child do? So it's kind of like the same way, but maybe not. There's just less Asians, but we still competed because we never talked about the American kids. We were like, oh, hey, this Chinese girl is taking this many AP courses, or that Chinese girl just won an award in piano. And it was pretty like, I don't know, I think it was pretty stressful. I mean, I know that the other Asians treated this competition pretty seriously because one of them wished me bad luck on my piano competition. I ended up scoring higher than her, so I was happy. But yeah, you know, she when you care so much about winning that you wish bad luck on your competitors, now that's just insane.